I'd like to give some food for thought, pun intended actually, about fasting. Now that we're coming into the spring and better weather for fasting. Fasting tends to be a lot more challenging in the winter time. And I had some thoughts on this over the last couple of days. Now, this past week, I've been thinking about relocating back to Phoenix. I've been looking at jobs and careers over in Phoenix. I've been reconnecting with old friends back in Phoenix and thinking about moving back. And I was thinking about the living expenses over in Phoenix and how much of a pay cut I could justify if I moved back to Phoenix, because obviously the pay scale is very different over there, but the cost of living is way less. You're still making out like a bandit even if you take a 20-30% pay cut moving from Seattle to Phoenix. But aside from the cost of living being less in Phoenix, there is another thing that is less expensive. I'll let you pause the video to think about it. In Phoenix, it's a lot easier to do a fast year-round. When I was living in Phoenix, I was regularly going on 20-plus hour fasts. And once a week, sometimes even twice a week, I was going on a multi-day 48-plus hour fast. I did one in commemoration of 9/11. I did one for Yom Kippur. I did quite a few for other important anniversaries. I have some personal anniversaries as well every summer. Over in Seattle, especially when it gets wet and muggy, forget about it. See, when I'm in the middle of a long fast like that, I need to distract myself. Over in Phoenix, I could go out for a walk. There are a lot of outdoor activities. Here in Seattle, for at least 3-4 months out of the year, you can't do that. And so I was thinking about, not only is the cost of living less in Phoenix, but I could fast a whole lot more often and save a lot of money that way, right? My food expenses over here in Seattle are just way out of line compared to over in Phoenix, in large part because I have to eat more. Food isn't all that much more expensive in Seattle compared to Phoenix, actually. But in large part just because I have to eat more because of the climate. And another thing I thought about in terms of fasting is that this is the computer that I write computer games with. It's an MSI, and I like it because it has 64 gigabytes of RAM. I showed you guys a computer program I'm working on. It uses 50-some gigabytes just for the endgame table base. I hope to upgrade to 128 gigabytes of RAM soon. And even though the computer is almost a year old, look how clean everything is. It doesn't have sticky messes all over it. I started fasting regularly 2 years ago now. And ever since I started and everything's become so much cleaner, I find it impossible to eat while working. I really do. It just doesn't flow as well. And also, it really intrudes on my thought process if I'm having something in my mouth. And it makes me wonder sometimes when I'm sitting down in a very long thought process. It makes me wonder, perhaps the answer to COVID-19 or the cure for cancer or the answer to whatever difficult problem in our society you want to think about is already in somebody's head, but they're too busy eating to work on it. It makes me wonder if that ever is the case. I would imagine that has been the case at least a number of times in our society, which is just really unfortunate, right? It also makes you, well, first of all, a lot of people are overeating themselves to death. You don't know if somebody's losing years of productive life that they would have used to cure cancer, to find chemical element number 119, to solve the game of chess. Whatever problem that you can think of, right? Somebody has probably killed themselves before they got a chance to work on it. And then you got some people who starve to death because other people would rather overindulge themselves to death, right? Just really, really, really unfortunate if you stop to think about it. How many times somebody has been on the verge of curing COVID-19, but they got a food craving and their thought process got interrupted, right? Which gets me back to why I love fasting. Even to this day, I've been 2 years into intermittent fasting now. I still struggle with it. One of the big problems I run into, and I just ran into that a couple days ago, is that I'll go out and get my favorite food. Let's say I'm just about to, I'm not going to open this right now because I'm in the middle of fasting. I'm just about to open my favorite Lara bar, whatever food fancies you, right? And as I'm about to open it, my mouth has already started to salivate. I really hate that. And the reason I hate it is because it makes it very difficult for me to turn back if something were to happen. Right? Let's say I'm just about to open the bar, the phone rings, I come up with an interesting idea on how to cure COVID-19, and I really need to take that back so I can focus on this new task. Right? My boss wants to talk to me, my girlfriend comes over unexpectedly, and I need to focus on that new task. I find it very difficult to turn back, right? Or I was living with my landlord, and I got into a huge argument with him because I wanted him to go away so I can get to my food, and I ended up stomping my feet. And that's the kind of problem I run into. I have a hard time turning away when I've already begun the thought process of getting to my food, right? I don't know why. It's similar to Pavlov's dog, right? I have a hard time just turning away, right? All right, some food for thought, pun intended, on fasting.